The following show contains views and opinions that may not be suitable for all audiences. Audience discretion is advised.
Howdy, 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 everybody. I am Gomer the Ranting Thespian, and welcome to Thespian Talk. I am joined with my co-host, the Cat.
Hello, everyone.
And I think I threw everybody off by doing my intro a little bit differently. That's what I get for doing way too many Let's Play videos with that particular intro. Oops. But, you know, maybe it'll work out. I don't know. So quick disclosure here for everybody. The day we're recording this at our usual time. It's also the day that I just get back from off the road, so if I'm a little off kilter or whatever, that's probably why. Managed to make it home in time, and that's mostly because of just a series of errors on the parts of some of the customers I have to deliver to and pick up from. Namely, they took forever. But they were also a little busy, so it's a little understandable. They're just really understaffed out there in central Georgia. Which we'll be talking about a story out of Georgia later today. But there was one thing that happened to me I did not expect to happen. But before I get into that, Kat, how was your week?
It was very long. Yeah, that's about it. It's just very long.
Long for you too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to kind of get into my little thing that happened today, Kat, let me ask you something. Let's say you date this guy, you know, you break up. You don't necessarily have a messy breakup, but you just stop talking, you grow apart or whatever, and you just don't talk for a few years. And you decide, okay, I maybe I want to talk to him, maybe see how he's doing or what have you. What would be some things that you would do as kind of an icebreaker? You know, just off the top of your head.
Like send him a message on Facebook going, "Hey."
Yeah, there you go. That's a very good one. So I found out that I think I've mentioned it a couple of times before, but the number I have on my cell phone now used to belong to a friend of mine, used to work for my dad, and all of that really good stuff. And obviously she didn't send everybody her new number for one reason or another. This particular one, I kind of figured out why she may not have sent him this person this particular number. Well, her new number. Because on my way home, I'm driving through southern Alabama on my way home, and my phone beeps up. You know, it's like, hey, there's a text message there or whatever. And I've got it set up to where, you know, when something comes in, I could just like glance at it on the iPhone screen or whatever, because it'll, you know, do the pop-up thing. And it's a message from this number I don't even know. And it's like, hey, you know, I want to catch up or whatever, you know. And it's like, okay, because I've sent my number to some people whose numbers have likewise changed. So at first it's like, okay. Then I noticed that there's also a picture attached to it, and it gives me a little bit of a preview. It took me a couple of glances, but then I realized I got an unsolicited dick pic.
Wow.
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you know, and I had a good like 30 to 45 minutes before I was home, you know, before I could actually like respond back or anything. So I was sitting there the whole time thinking, okay, do I really want to fuck with this guy? Do I want to make it seem like I'm interested, or do I want to like play fast and loose with how comfortable I am with my sexuality, that sort of thing? But I decided against that. I decided to be nice and let him know, yeah, it's obvious you haven't talked to her in a while. And there's probably a reason why she didn't give you her new number, and that's fine. But if you're going to try and reestablish some kind of connection, you know, start up a new conversation or whatever, it's best to not lead with a dick pic. That's generally frowned upon. And also, you ended up sending your dick pic to a guy, which I don't think he was expecting at all. So far, I've not heard back from him. I haven't heard back be like, oh my God, no, or not even oh, hey, thank you for letting me know. Hopefully, he will take my advice to heart and not start with a dick pic next time.
I would, if I were comfortable enough, I would have sent him an inappropriate picture back, going, "Hey, how's it going? I can do that too."
Yeah. Now, I actually, Arik had, when I told him about it, he suggested, man, I would have sent a dick pic back to him. I'm like, nah. Didn't feel like it. But, you know, if it happens again, I might. But then again, it's also a more local number. And it would be my luck. Somebody, the guy would recognize it. Somebody around town would recognize me from that particular viewpoint. I don't know how. And it would get back to my dad. Somebody would walk into his office and be like, "Hey, what's your son doing sending random dick pics to dudes?" And then somebody would ask me, and I'll be like, "I'm a troll. I was trolling the fucker, because he started it. He sent one me first." That's not a conversation I want to have with my dad. Oh yeah, so yeah, that was something I never thought I would experience. Just yeah. But let this be a lesson to you, all you guys out there. Take this, spread it around. Don't start with a dick pic. Just not a good thing. We keep, and we've probably said it a few times on the show before. I've probably said it on social media a few times before, but it always bears repeating until these guys get it through their thick skulls. Don't start with a dick pic. Just know, if it's your first conversation ever, or if it's your first conversation after a while, leave the dick in the pants, all right? Yeah, you may have had a sexual thing with her before. Fine, whatever. Leave it in your pants. Just leave it there, at least for now. Or at the very least,
not even don't start with a dick pic. It's like, don't give unsolicited dick pics. Like, unless somebody's requesting it, don't do it.
Yeah.
Nobody really wants to see that. You just want people to want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I wouldn't mind people seeing it, but I'm not throwing it in everybody's faces either. But I also do the thing. Here's the thing, because I am that close in intimacy with not just Becky, but a couple of others, and I make sure I have permission to send it. That's a key. That's the thing you could do too. You ask permission. It is not unmanly to ask for permission. In fact, it's actually kind of a thing you should do. But
as a human being, as a not piece of shit.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you want to see my dick? And if the answer is no, then you don't do it. Simple as that. Oh, start our show this week talking about dicks. Oh boy, there's gonna be a lot more dicks, although not of the same variety this week. Oh, so with that, we're gonna transfer into like shout outs and the Patreon stuff and everything. If you go to my Patreon page, patreon.com/Gomer21XX, and you throw down, I think, like I've said before, I think it's the $15 level, you can get, in addition to the perks that are at the lower levels, you can also get some ad space for whatever it is you want to advertise. Nothing pornographic, just so we don't have like a whole bunch of porn bots coming after us. Please no, I've got enough on Twitter and Tumblr. I don't need any more. I can find my own porn. Thank you. But you can advertise your stuff with us, and it gets you an audio slot on all of my podcasts that I do. And of course, links in any descriptions for podcast videos. You get a little bit of a feature thing at the end of a video, and by feature I mean you have like your logo up there or whatever, along with what the web address where we can find you. And also some space on the site, that's towards the top, and that way people see it, and they'll hopefully be able to see that depending on how your computer display is formatted. And of course, we do have one person at that level who does have something to have sent out to us and wants to put out there, and her name is Beth Cody. She has a podcast called Invest with Beth. You can find it on iTunes, or you can go to investwithbeth.com. I need to remember to put that link actually in the description. If not, if you're listening to it on the site or what have you, you just click on the logo on the site at rtgomer.com, and it'll take you right to the website. We can get the show. You can find it on iTunes. It's been a little bit more sporadic because you can only do so much at a time, and I know she leads a busy life, but there are the episodes that are up there. They are good. They are worth a listen, especially if you want to get into like doing like real estate or whatever. It's a good starting point, that's for sure. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention CirclePlus.co, website that has content by women, for women, with women, of women. It's a female-oriented produced site, ran by Lady Jess and Holly Christine. Go check them out. Some very talented ladies over there. Definitely go check them out. And apart from all of that, I do have a separate shout-out beyond the stuff that I normally do. I discovered this week that one of my favorite comedians, Bill Engvall, has his own podcast. Now, he's had it since, I think, early June. and it's called My Two Cents with Bill Engvall. You can find that on iTunes, and I believe it's also on his site, billengvall.com. Go check him out. And he's pretty good. He is one of those guys that I can agree with him about a lot of things up to a point, and then there are some points that's like, I don't know, Bill. But you know what? I think that's a good thing because, it's not an echo chamber. It makes me think about certain positions and whether or not he's right, I'm right, or what have you. It's good thinking stuff, and it's not all him. It's not him spending an hour talking, making here's your sign jokes. So and then he's had some guests on. He had Adam Carolla on, which I'm not a fan of Adam Carolla, but Carolla was actually kind of tolerable in that episode. He's had Ron White, and he also had a guy, I forget the guy's name right off the top of my head, but as of this show going up, it's the most recent one, who is wanting to try and complete what Evel Knievel had attempted, and basically just, jump the Grand Canyon. And it's like, oh dear, that's gonna be fun. But again, that's My Two Cents with Bill Engvall. Go check him out. It's good, especially if you're a fan of his. And I'm gonna guess that Kat does not have a shout out this week, do you?
That would be correct.
Yeah, usually.
It's a pretty good assumption. You're not wrong.
Yeah. There's a reason why it's a running gag on TV tropes. So with that, we are going to now. It's time for the news. Oh boy, and I grabbed it's one of those fun things. Except for our first story, all of these I went and just grabbed within maybe an hour and a half. So I did a lot of running around for all of these. So hopefully I did all right in getting the flow going. So our first one comes out of Sydney, Australia. An 18-year-old girl who had escaped from an Australian correction center responded to police after her mugshot was posted on Facebook. She asked them to please use a better picture of her. She even provided the picture for them. Amy Sharp escaped from Surrey Hills Corrective Services cell complex on August 19th, so the police released her mugshots to the media and asked the public to be on the watch for her, like you do. That was when Sharp went on a TV station's Facebook page and asked them very politely to use a different picture of her. As one might imagine, her post brought in a huge number of comments. No shit. It also raised the idea that police might be able to use her posting to find out her whereabouts. That might have worked, actually, as the Facebook post was updated to show that she was found and arrested at a local park. And she was taken to the police station for further questioning, and really? How vain do you have to be for you to get in touch with the police station somehow, through, in this case through a TV station, and say, hey, could you use a different picture? I got one here. That doesn't accentuate my face very well. Can you use this one? Or how about this one that accentuates my ass? Can you use that one instead? No! It's a mugshot. It's not meant to be glamorous. and on top of that, you're using Facebook. And that shit is traceable. And very obviously, she was traced. She was found and arrested. Kat, do you have something?
I don't know why I'm thinking this, but there's a huge thing that goes on about what pictures people use when they're being mentioned in the media, we seem to have a thing where if the media always uses really unhappy pictures of young black kids who get shot by cops, and we say, well, that's not fair. You're not showing this picture of this kid, where he's, in a nice suit or something. And we make a big deal out of how the media treats people and what pictures that they use, because that picture may sway people one way or the other to how they feel about this person and their innocence. But we consider it a vanity when a girl wants to not have a certain picture used. I don't know.
I can see that. I can see where you're coming from there, and it's probably just my knee-jerk reaction that probably brought that one about. But I mean, it probably is just vanity, but it's sort of just making me think about how important it is for us to carefully choose what pictures that the media presents.
because it really is. It sways how people feel about this person, especially if the person is some sort of victim. But it's just really weird. The whole idea of the power of media and stuff like that. But it really is really silly that she's like, excuse me, can you use a better picture? Honestly, the way that they said and how polite it was, I almost expected this to be a Canadian thing and not an Australian thing.
Yeah. Like, could you use this one, please? Can you? Okay. But I think, I mean, when it comes to victim, like you said, the black kids that are getting killed and having the worst pictures of them put out there, when it comes to the victims, yeah, put out the best picture possible. Sure. Because, obviously you're in contact with the families can give you some better pictures, that sort of thing, fine. You when it comes to a victim that has been killed, I think that's the best thing to do across the board. But when it comes to somebody who is obviously a criminal at this point, the police need help. I'm thinking the police just pretty much used what they had on file. What they had on file was her mugshots. So yeah. And, so yeah, either way, regardless of how she felt about it or whether or not she was vain or not, she was still stupid for using Facebook to try and do this. It's like, really?
That is really dumb.
You're trying to run from the cops. That's not supposed to be an option. Just, no. Oh. Speaking of dumb options, we're going to Georgia. And I've not met the devil in Georgia, but based on the heat, I know he's running around there. Holy shit. A Marietta teacher is facing disciplinary action for what one grandmother calls a demeaning educational game. Dolores Bunch-Keemer told the local news that she knew something was wrong when her 10-year-old granddaughter came home from Chatham Elementary on Tuesday afternoon. She said her granddaughter's the only African-American girl in the classroom, and was asked to play an interactive game that involved pretending to escape a plantation. Oh no. The class was trying to find freedom on the Underground Railroad, where a roll of the dice determined whether a player would make it to the woods, the local news reported. So it's basically D&D. It's basically a tabletop game based on the Underground Railroad. The teacher may have been trying to make a dramatic point about the suffering imposed on slaves, but the 10-year-old took her history lesson to heart. She says she went back to the plantation 6 times, the grandmother told the local news. The girl experienced the painful lesson of consistently feeling degraded because every time her roll of the dice put her back on the plantation, she was beaten by the master. Hopefully not literally. School officials told the local news they were looking into the game and that it was not part of an approved lesson plan. When the grandmother went to the elementary school, she said the teacher told her no one else complained about the history simulation game. Well, of course, they're all white. If we did a Holocaust game and people had to roll the dice if they were going to go into the gas chamber, do you see any similarity in that? The grandmother said. She asked the teacher. And I don't know where the rest of the article went. But the point is, the whole point of the thing is, okay, you want people to understand the Underground Railroad. Okay, fine. And you want to do it in a way that's, a little bit more interactive. That's cool. All right. It's like when I saw the headline on Fark, it made it seem like that the 10-year-old girl was the only one acting as a slave, which I really hope that's not the case. But if it's like the entire class is there and they're all participating as slaves, then it's not as bad. It's still a little but at the same time, if it helps them learn, I can see where it can come in handy. Might need a little bit of extra work, but at this, and this is 10 years old, so she's about 3rd or 4th grade, maybe 4th or 5th grade, somewhere around there. Yeah, maybe, but I can still see it's like, where do you stand on this, Kat?
Well, without knowing more information, I really can't make a judgment because it really would depend on if every kid was playing as a slave or not. To me, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
because then it really is just a lesson plan. We all learned about the Underground Railroad in different ways, and um, there was really no nice way to learn about the Underground Railroad. There's no way that being the only black kid in this class, that this kid isn't going to feel singled out.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks that she did feel singled out, and that that she had bad luck in the game. But first off, that's a really good way to understand reality.
Yeah.
Is to know that life sucks, and this is how much more their lives sucked back then. But I honestly don't think that this girl was being singled out, and this girl was almost certainly not the only person playing a slave. It just sucks that she was the only black girl in the class. I feel like if she hadn't been in that class, that'd be just a bunch of white kids who kept getting sent back to the plantation and getting beaten. I understand that the experience is obviously very, very different, but everybody in this case is sharing the experience together. And she's the only one with the cultural background to take it personally.
Yeah.
So I can understand why she'd be upset, but I don't think any bad intentions were done, and I don't see, I don't have the perspective to see why it's a problem.
Right.
If everybody is going through the same thing during the lesson plan.
Right.
But obviously I'm not a little black girl. I'm the only little black girl in my class, so I don't get it. And I think the teacher probably didn't do anything wrong, and the kid just took it personally. Mm-hmm. But I don't have enough information.
Yeah. And I even double checked, because it seems like our article did cut off. I double checked the link while you were going on, and it's like, yeah, that's the entire article. So it's like there's nothing new there. But from Georgia, we're gonna go a little bit south. Hello, Florida. How you doing? We're here. We've got an infection of Zika down there somewhere in the tip. Hope it doesn't spread too far, and I hope it gets eradicated. But
there's Zika kind of everywhere now.
Ah, shit. Bugs, stay the fuck away from me then. Because what I understand, it's been spread by what, mosquitoes or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep them the fuck away from me.
I don't know if you're part of the equation.
I hope I'm not.
I do believe it has to be the mother who gets bitten.
Okay, so oh dear. Anyways, out of Lakeland, this is actually a really cool thing. Lightning, a spider, and now a snake. A Central Florida man is proving to be a survivor. In the last 4 years, 31-year-old Kyle Cook has been struck by lightning, bitten by a venomous spider, and most recently, attacked by an eastern diamondback rattlesnake in his backyard in Lakeland. I would move at that point. Move and nuke the site from orbit. Only way to be sure. But that's just my ophidiophobia coming out. His father, Mike Cook, calls his son a walking Murphy's Law. The younger Cook was almost finished mowing the yard at his family's rented house on August 11th when he heard a loud rattling sound. He saw the 5-foot snake about 3 feet away. As he moved back, he stepped on a stick. And probably shat himself, too, because the noise provoked the snake, which struck him. The fang marks apparently are still visible 2 weeks later on Cook's right ankle. Holy shit, dude! Okay. You're going through... You are the toughest fucker possible. We need to, oh, God. Holy shit, man. Lightning, venomous spider, and a snake. Dude, I would be done. I would be done with a snake. I would probably just... Snake bit me, that's it. My heart would be like, nope, no more. We're not taking any more. And just, boom, die. I couldn't do that. This guy's still walking around. Holy shit, man. Somebody buy him a beer. Buy him the strongest beer you can.
He needs it.
Yes.
He's coping.
Yes. Like, oh my God, dude. That is amazing. Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't survive all of that. Kat, what about you? Would you survive all that?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, come back to me when he gets attacked by a crocodile or alligator or whatever there is in Florida, because then I'll be really impressed. But no, just to survive all of that, you'd better have gotten some superpowers in the process. Otherwise, what the hell's the point?
Exactly. It's like, oh, cheapest dude. It's a good thing I don't live in Central Florida. I get an email from somebody from Central Florida. It's nice down here. We have Disney World. Yeah, but you also have things that will kill you. We have that up here, but
like
not
bath salts.
Yeah. Well, that's more South Florida, but still, yeah. Yeah. Up here we just have a bunch of meth. Let's see. This one is out of Texas. Oh, okay. We tone down the lightness a little bit. Oh dear. Reaction to the new law set to go into effect sometime next month was swift. The Office of the Attorney General says the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles can send a denial of motor vehicle registrations for parents who have gone at least 6 months without making child support payments. Let me repeat that. They can send a denial of motor vehicle registration for parents who have gone at least 6 months without making child support payments. Jimmy Cooper, a Greenwood resident, said most of the jobs in this area are going to require you to drive somewhere, so you couldn't make a living for yourself, let alone pay any child support. Which I'm on that side. I'm on board with that. Jessica Garcia, an Odyssey resident, said that's why they shouldn't ignore paying. You're obligated to pay something, then you need to pay it, so you're not in that situation. That statement alone just... My knee-jerk reaction to that statement is fuck you. But she's also not entirely wrong. Because you do need the payment to pay the thing in order to not be in the situation. But it also comes down to, what if you're just down on your luck? Because the economy is not up where it should be to be able to, to support everybody, I don't think. I mean, you and I, Kat, we're lucky enough that we actually have day jobs and can have an income, but not everybody is that lucky. And even those with jobs, that's no guarantee that those jobs are going to be able to allow them to send child support and also support themselves. So it's like it's like this: if you're dead, you can't send child support. So,
true story.
Yeah. The law stated parents will be notified 90 days before the registrations are set to expire, and for the parents who have more than one vehicle, then all of them will be affected. Editing people. So it would affect all vehicles. So it's basically I can't even. Viewers commented on our social media posts about the law on both sides. One post read, "Kids still need necessities regardless of the situation." Another read, "How is someone supposed to make payments if he or she can't drive?" And I actually knew a guy in Indy. We've probably talked about him on the show a couple of times when Arik has been on. We call him the Irish. And he was in one such situation. He had himself a house, had a car. A lot of times, I think he drove the car without registration or something. He legally was not supposed to be driving, but at the same time, he had to get to work somehow. I mean, I think he worked like 3 jobs just to make sure the house payment was met up, and he also had to pay child support as well. So he had to do all of this, and of course, without legally being able to drive a car, if he didn't basically have the balls to drive to work, then he wouldn't have been able to make the child support payment. Because Indy, like this is an Indy, and there's we have bus lines and everything there, but that doesn't necessarily get you where you need to go. I found that out the hard way. So you need to work on that, Texas. Some believe there were other ways to punish those who are late on child support payments, and believe getting money taken out of a parent's paycheck is a better solution, but everyone agreed that the health and wellness of a child or children takes precedent. I think we all can agree on that. And, getting it taken out of a paycheck, you know what? It's easy. You just add it to your taxes. There you go. It can be taken out as a tax, I would think. That's what my first thing is. And you know what? You don't even have to worry. It's like, okay, you know what? I just have to redo this budget. This is how much I make, and there you go. It's your duty. It's your responsibility as a mother or father that you should do your part to take care of that child, because you certainly did your part to bring that child into this world, said Cooper. The OAG has a dedicated phone line for all denial of motor vehicle registration renewals. They have the number there to make payment arrangements. So this law, as it stands right now, it's set to go into effect within the next month. They say, yeah, you can't make child support payments. Well, you don't have a car. You can't legally drive your car. You know, like what are they supposed to do? Not everybody can just get a bike, and not everybody can just walk. I mean, if push comes to shove, I can and will walk to work and walk home from work. Although, considering what I do now, that's I can't just haul a trailer on my back. But then again, I bring my truck home. So, but let's say I didn't and I drove home from where the terminal is, yeah, that's a good 5 or 6 hour drive one way. I'm not walking all of that, and the Greyhound doesn't get me close enough to it without having to call a cab. So, not to mention the Greyhound that I would need to take to get there leaves at 2 a.m. And even that, but you're seeing the complications arising here. If I didn't have some way to get to work on my own, you're seeing all of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, you know, like somebody suggests, take it out of the paycheck. I that's a better idea. What do you have to say about all this, Kat?
I don't like this. I do really think that there should be something in place that forces people to keep up with their payments, because one of my very good friends has an ex-husband who they didn't get along very well, and he didn't think that she used the child support payment very well, so he refused to pay for a very long time, and absolutely nothing happened to him at all. Oh. Nobody called him out on it. Like they eventually went into a lawsuit and everything to fight over custody. Mm-hmm. That's the end all be all of what happened. So she got fucked over because she had these 2 kids, one of whom had some level of special needs that she basically raised and took care of by herself while all this really terrible shit was going on in her life, and she still had to take care of them 24/7, and she could barely, you know, afford anything, and this douchebag refused to pay his fair share. But on the other hand, I've also seen people who have been in very, very bad financial situations where, you know, if they pay their child support, they're not going to eat this week. And that's not fair either. Yeah. Because, yeah, you do need to support your child, but like you said, you can't support your child if you're dead. And not having a car creates so many more problems than it solves. I get how some people could see this as a victory for women, but I don't see this as any kind of victory for anybody. All I think it's going to do is ruin more people's lives. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and not everybody has the luxury of living in a place with mass transit or any kind of public transit. I live in a small town. Sure, I could walk across town and get to a job, but in this heat, hell no.
No, especially like if you live in the rural small towns that are in bumblefuck nowhere in the Midwest, where it's several miles between your house and, you know, town, because there's about 30 farms in the way. There just is no public transit in a lot of places. A lot of places, it's not safe to walk around from place to place, or it's simply just not possible to do it at all. And if you think about the places with the most poverty, who are probably more likely to have these financial problems, it's very distressing. I don't think this solves anything. I mean, it might help some people, but I really feel like child custody is really, there shouldn't be a standard. There should be a case-by-case basis. Yeah. Because no 2 family problems are the same. It's just like how moms almost always win custody. That's not fair. That's not right. Because the mom isn't always the better person. And there's no 2 cases that are similar, and I think everything just needs to be handled on a case-by-case basis. And I recognize that that's difficult and unrealistic, but this is a lot of different people out there, and you don't want people to suffer, and that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, which Texas, they take somebody's advice. Whoever said to take it out of the paycheck, do that. You can work it into where it could be tax deductible, maybe. I don't know. Take it out as taxes, whatever. Or even you can even without the government's help. I'm pretty sure there are some businesses that would be willing to help you with that. Like, okay, you need this, and you need to make sure this is taken care of. You don't have any other way to do it. Okay, we'll take it out of your check and we'll send it for you. I don't see a lot of businesses doing that, but some might. Who knows? Yeah. And our next one. Oh, I saw this and I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna piss off people. Yeah. Bear with us, folks. Here we go. Melanie Jones arrived for her doctor's appointment bleeding and in pain, as you do. Jones, 28, who lives in the Chicago area, had slipped in her bathroom and suspected the fall had dislodged her copper intrauterine device, IUD. Her doctor confirmed the IUD was dislodged and had to be removed. But the doctor said she would be unable to remove the IUD, citing Catholic restrictions followed by Mercy Hospital and Medical Center and providers within its system. So the doctor knows it needs to be removed. Needs to be removed. But she can't do it because Catholicism is basically what it is. The doctor left Jones to confer with colleagues before returning to confirm that her hands were tied. According to 2 complaints filed by the ACLU of Illinois, not only could she not help her, the doctor said, but no one in Jones's health insurance network could remove the IUD because all of them followed similar restrictions. Okay, whatever the name of that health insurance network is, that's just no, get out of that.
Yeah, what the hell health insurance network is this person on?
Yeah.
What the fuck? You're saying you couldn't go to an emergency room and get that covered? What the fuck?
Because it's birth control, and we don't deal with anything having to do with birth control. But like they say later on in the article, I'm pretty sure a guy, if he had a vasectomy and things were going wrong, they'd fix that right the fuck up. They probably would. Because, you're going to be doing a service for us, sir. You are going to be increasing our numbers like we need. Yeah, but we don't have the resources for it. We need to increase our numbers because apparently Catholics and Christians, which are technically the same thing, with slightly differing beliefs, but, it's close enough for me. It's like, yeah. Yeah, so, Mercy, like many Catholic providers, follows directives issued by the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops that restrict access to an array of services, including abortion care, tubal ligations, and contraception. So, they are part of the people that say, hey, you know what, if you don't get pregnant, don't fuck. To that I say, fuck you. Some Catholic providers may get around the rules by purporting to prescribe hormonal contraception for acne or heavy periods rather than for birth control, but in the case of copper IUDs, there's no such pretext available. I would think that if it's, if it's threatening the health of somebody, then, you kind of should do it. It doesn't matter what your religion says. You say, you make sure she's okay. You nurse, you bring her back to full health. You do that. Some Catholic, let's see, she told Miss Jones that the process of switching networks would take her a month, and that she should feel fortunate because sometimes switching networks takes up to 6 months or even a year, the ACLU of Illinois wrote in a pair of complaints filed in late June. Jones hadn't even realized her healthcare network was Catholic. When you think that should kind of be put out there at first, it's like, hey, we are a Catholic network. We cover this, we don't cover this. Shouldn't whether or not they're affiliated with a religion kind of be put out there, wouldn't you think?
I know at my job that I've been working at for 6 months now, when I started working there, one of the first things you do in the first couple of days of working there is you sit down with somebody from finance who is in charge of everybody's benefits. And he sits there and tells you about all of the benefits so you can pick a plan. And I would think that, there'd be somebody at your job or your workplace or wherever you get your health insurance from who sits there and goes, okay, so here's how some things work. You need to know about the insurance. And I feel like whoever you go through for your insurance has an obligation to tell you if your insurance is dictated by stuffy old men who are fucking going to hell.
Yeah. That would be, yeah. Let's see. The ACLU and ACLU of Michigan sued Trinity Health, which is one of the largest Catholic health systems in the country, last year for its repeated and systematic failure to provide women suffering pregnancy complications with appropriate emergency abortions as required by federal law. Required by federal law. That means, fuck your religion. She is dying. That fetus is gone already. Get it out of there before it takes the mother with it, you know? I don't know why I gendered the fetus, but oh well.
Don't you, as a doctor, have an obligation where if you see somebody who is in a potentially life-threatening situation, that you have to help them no matter what? And I get that... Okay, this just goes back to how fucking stupid everything about healthcare in America is. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm glad we don't live in some country where healthcare is non-existent. But the way that things cost makes it so that people would risk death rather than go to the emergency room because of how much it costs to go to the emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
Having been going through a slight little medical problem for the last month, I can tell you some of the horror stories that I've read about people who have had similar experiences as I have, who have gone to the emergency room, have had emergency surgery, and have had to shell out. And this is it. This is anywhere between $4,000 to $48,000 for the exact same procedure.
God damn, really?
Depending for the exact same thing. It's I can tell you, it's a gallbladder removal. Because I'm having problems with my gallbladder. It's real fun. And for an emergency gallbladder removal at, an emergency room has cost people anywhere between $4,000 to $48,000.
Jeebus.
That is unbelievable. Not as only that unbelievable, it's unacceptable that people who have real emergencies, who are really suffering, who could actually endure great damage to them, like having an IUD and you're bleeding and who knows what damage that can be doing. You need to get that thing out. You should not be afraid to go to the emergency room because your stupid fucking insurance might not cover this. That's not fair. It's not fair that people should suffer, and especially women with birthy things, because that can really fuck you up. And it's just stupid. It's stupid that we live in a country where people will risk death because they're afraid to go to the emergency room, because they're afraid that they're going to have to pay money that they don't have for a procedure that'll save their life.
Yeah. Oh. Now, there are some silver linings to this. According to a written statement to Rewire, Mercy said, generally, our protocol in caring for a woman with a dislodged or troublesome IUD is to offer to remove it. So this doctor went against the general protocol there. Rhodes said Mercy was reviewing its education process on Catholic directives for physicians and residents. That act of removing an IUD in itself does not violate the directives, Marty Folan, Mercy's director of mission integration, told Rewire. The act in itself does not violate the directives. Marty Folan, thank you. So that doctor is even more of a dick. And Jones, she ended up finding, she called her insurance company, demanded the expedited network change. After about 5 hours of phone calls, she was able to see a doctor who removed her IUD 5 days after her initial appointment and almost 2 weeks after she fell in the bathroom. So she eventually did get it removed, thankfully. And it also says she experienced another feeling after being turned away from the hospital there, stigma. She said that it felt like they were telling her that she had done something wrong, made a mistake, therefore we're not going to help. Because, you little whore, you have something for birth control. It's just so you can go out and fuck. And whether that's true or not, it's not the issue. The issue is the thing in there was harming her. You should have taken it out. And Even the fucking director of mission integration says, yeah, hey, guess what? It doesn't violate the directive. Should have pulled it out of her. Just hopefully things will change and get a lot better. All across the board. I mean, it's in and of itself, if you want to be religiously affiliated as a hospital or some kind of health care center, then you know what? Fine. That's your right. You can do that. But you've got to know that it kind of, from what I remember from actually being more religious, I think it kind of goes against your religion to turn somebody out when their life is in danger or could even potentially be in danger. Help those. That's the whole thing. You got to help them, not shame them. Shaming at this point does not help. It's just no.
What would Jesus do?
Jesus would have ripped... Well, I think Jesus would have used his magic Jesus powers and magically fixed the IUD and everything. But powers aside,
Jesus wouldn't have turned somebody away who needed help.
Yeah.
That's why I just religion. It's like fine if you're religious, but Jesus Christ, fucking act like it.
Yeah. Oh, so we're gonna go back to Florida. We've released a couple of stories, and we're going to talk about our governor, at least in this one. Our governor, Rick Scott, he's a bald guy, and in a lot of pictures I've seen of him, he looks like he's about to child out on a baby. So I consider him a baby eater.
Are you fat-shaming him, Gomer?
He's not fat.
Oh, okay.
No, I will show you pictures of him. He has the look of, oh my God, there's a baby, I'm going to eat it. Ha 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 ha. So it's not his body type, it's his face. But the Obama administration denied for a second time Thursday Governor Rick Scott's request for a federal state of emergency for algae blooms. Federal Emergency Management Agency rejected Scott's appeal of a denial of emergency funds to deal with the algae that has fouled the St. Lucie River in recent months. Most of the algae is gone after Lake Okeechobee discharges decreased. FEMA denied Scott's original request for emergency funds in July, saying he failed to prove the state isn't able to handle the severity and magnitude of the blooms. He filed an appeal this month. Scott cannot appeal the decision again, FEMA spokesman Raphael Lemaitre said. Scott, who declared Florida a state of emergency in June, and state and local officials hoped for a federal emergency declaration would make more money available to address the algae. Okay, it's algae. All right? We sell algae eaters at our pet stores. Surely some of them are in the wild. And since we sell them in pet stores, they're freshwater. Guess what? St. Lucie River, Lake Okeechobee, I believe they're freshwater. Get a whole bunch of those, put them in there. Hope they don't get eaten by too many bigger fish, and there you go. Problem solved. Although, and in this one, I had to look at the comments because I had to get a little bit more context. And some of the comments there are saying that the algae was caused by I think some of the sugar factories or whatever down there that are just dumping their waste in there, and then hey, there comes some more algae coming out of Lake Okeechobee, and it's just but it's algae. I'm kind of with the feds on this one. It's I think we can handle it. We are a state with a peninsula. We are a peninsula state. Surely we can find some way to deal with it. We're not that bad. Now you know who needed the state of emergency thing? In the past month and a half, Louisiana. And guess what? Because they were flooding. They were being drowned again. This is just algae in the river. Algae is in the river all the damn time. Maybe not in the amount that they were talking about, but algae's in the water anyway. That's where it lives. Oh no, it might look weird. It doesn't say whether or not it was harming the local wildlife or if it was harming, the water supply. It's algae. Just no. We didn't need that, Governor. We didn't. Just no. What do you think, Kat?
I think there's not enough information for me to make an opinion, because too much of anything is bad.
Yeah.
And too much of algae could potentially do something bad, but this article didn't seem interested in stating if there was some sort of negative repercussion of there being too much algae, like any kind of harm on the wildlife or anything like that. Like too much algae, maybe something else was losing its food resource, and that causes a really bad chain reaction in the whole food chain. Who knows? It could have been anything.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I said, I tried to get some from the comments, and that's where the whole sugar factor thing came from. So they say don't read the comments, but sometimes it kind of helps.
Sometimes the comments are golden, but most of the time it's just the scum of humanity.
Yeah, but sometimes you can learn from the scum. Unfortunately, or fortunately. And again in Florida, Orlando. Multiple people were hurt, and the Florida Mall in Orlando was evacuated Thursday when popping balloons were mistaken for gunshots in an active shooter situation, according to deputies. Mall officials told the local news that the scare happened as crews were setting up for the grand opening of former NSYNC star Joey Fatone's new restaurant, Fat Ones. Oh, hey, sweet. Next time I'm in Orlando, I'll have to try it. I haven't been to the Florida Mall in years. Deputies said as part of the inspection for the grand opening, the balloon test was scheduled to be completed through a contracted vendor as part of an industry standard. All right, yeah. An announcement was made on the PA system informing shoppers and employees the test would be conducted, deputies said in an email to the local news. The test consisted of 6 large balloons popping consecutively, followed by a fire alarm. This caused people to go into panic mode and run. So, bear in mind, Orlando is also the same place with that where the Pulse shooting took place. People are still a little edgy. Who thought it was a good idea to try this? Because this is, again, Pulse shooting, still fresh in everybody's mind, especially in Orlando. Yeah, you're not likely to get shot up at the Florida Mall, but if you're wound up, that doesn't matter. That's not what you're thinking. You're just like, oh shit. You hear things that sound like gunshots going off, and a fire alarm. No, Good on Joey Fatone for opening a new restaurant there. Okay, fine. But the balloon thing, no. No. Although I think I may have, I don't think it was necessarily his. Let's see. A contracted vendor, part of an industry standard. Why the balloon test? I don't get why the balloon test. But, oh well, just a lot of chaos. Oh, God. But the Orange County Fire Marshal did note that the test should not have been scheduled during the middle of the day, but wasn't involved in making the plan. So, it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done it, but So, I know I kind of glazed over the article because I looked down at the time. I was like, oh shit. But Kat, do you have any thoughts on this article?
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would schedule any kind of a test during the middle of the day like that. So when you work in retail, you have like monthly tests of all of your alarms for whatever place you work at. So I worked at Best Buy for a long time, and we would have monthly alarm tests. And you had to like test the alarm of every single door in the building. But we did it at like 8 in the morning when nobody was there.
Yeah.
So as not to, I don't know, freak everybody out.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But apparently they didn't get the memo.
Weird.
Yeah, we'll stay in Florida. This one's a bit more amusing. and even in the same area of Florida too, Central Florida. A man spotted Thursday afternoon performing oral sex on a woman lying down on a Florida beach boardwalk told the cops that he was an emergency responder and had to assist the female as it was his duty, according to a criminal complaint. Okay, I can think of a lot of reasons why I would go down on someone. It's an emergency response. It is not. Just no. A Treasure Island Police Department officer found Tracy Briley, 50, with his shorts at his ankles and quote-unquote penis out in plain view around 1 p.m. Wednesday. Briley, the cop noted, quote, was performing cunnilingus on a female subject laying on the beach boardwalk. I know he has to be, he can't use like street terms and everything, but just holy shit. It's just funny when you hear it coming from a cop. At least for me. It could be very well that I'm immature.
No, it's always funny to try and hear, like people trying to be delicate about it.
Yeah. When you really want him to just come out and say, he's eating around on the boardwalk, goddammit. Now, Briley...
Sticks flopping in the breeze.
Yeah, Briley told the officer that he was homeless and had nowhere else to have sex except in public. They have these places called hotel rooms. Well, and because if you're homeless, that doesn't necessarily mean you're broke. So, you may have a hotel room you can go to. At the very least, break into a car and do it. Don't recommend it, but, at least you're not out in the middle of the beach. And plus, why on the beach? Because I've actually suggested it to some people before, and they're like, no, that gets sand up in there, just no. A witness told police that he and his 3-year-old grandson, because we have to throw in the child, apparently, observed the act of cunnilingus. Observe. This is... Look, Timmy, this is the act of cunnilingus. You see how this lady likes it? Uh-huh. Okay, it probably wasn't like that. It's probably like, oh, God, let's get him out of here. Yeah. But when Officer Zachariah Dorman arrived on the boardwalk, Briley's companion, who was not identified in the complaint, thank you, was clothed. She was subsequently transported to a local hospital for a reference to a medical issue. I guess is what they mean to say. Briley was transported to the county jail. He's being held in lieu of $10,000 on a felony lewd and lascivious exhibition charge. He's also hit with a misdemeanor trespassing count. Oops. His rap sheet includes prior busts for battery, possession of drug paraphernalia, evidence tampering, robbery, disorderly conduct, littering, and possession of an open container. Wow, that's some choice wording on that last part, but yeah. I admit I have had moments where, neither my place nor my partner's place was available. And I've made similar stupid mistakes, but never on the beach. And at the very least, it was also dark, and we were in the car. And so we saw the lights well before they caught us with our pants down, literally. So, needless to say, yes, I have been busted for something like that, but not to this degree. And I never got sent to jail for it. Although my dad did hear about it the next morning, because small town. Because everybody thought it was him. Oh, let's just say I was in deep shit. Before we go on, do you have anything to add here, Kat?
No.
Yeah. All right. So we'll hop down to our last story. I'm going to skip like one other one because we are running out of time. But this one I do want to put in here. It is yet another Florida story out of Leesburg. A Leesburg woman apparently had no interest in resolving a dispute with a neighbor. Rachel Ann Rowe, 24, was arrested Monday after she reportedly drove into her neighbor's fence, told deputies she would try to work things out with the neighbor, and then crashed into the fence again about 15 minutes later. She was charged with criminal mischief and released from the Lake County Jail after she posted a $500 bail. According to the arrest affidavit, Jamie D. Gay called deputies about 3:30 p.m. Monday to report that he believed that Rowe had bumped into a cinder block fence at his Mills Avenue property and knocked some of it down. Gay said that he and Rowe were involved in an ongoing dispute. 2-foot fence was not held together by mortar, and none of the cinder blocks were broken, allowing Gay to reconstruct it. Deputies reached Rowe and told her she could be arrested for criminal mischief, but advised her to try to be civil with Gay and resolve their issue. The affidavit adds that 15 minutes after speaking with Rowe, Gay called deputies again and said that she was checking his mail. Rowe sped past him and drove into the fence. When the deputies returned, the Rowe's white Ford pickup was sitting on top of the fence, and she was arrested. What the hell were you two fighting about? Okay, what would be an argument that would result in, okay, I'll fuck you and fuck your fence. Zoom. Like, what the fuck?
Fuck you and the fence you rode in on.
Apparently, wow. I just want to know, what were they arguing about? And why the fence? I mean, of all things, really? And plus,
that fence hurt no one. What did that fence ever do to you?
Yeah, and also, it's made of cinder blocks. That's not good for your car, ma'am. That's not good. I mean,
too much rage.
Apparently, I mean, I've been full of rage. never rageful enough to drive my car into a cinder block fence. Because I know better. Unless do you have any extra things to add to this? Or
God, no.
Okay, so...
Such a weird episode, full of weird stories.
Oh, yes. But hopefully that makes up... Hopefully it starts making up for some of the stuff we have missed, so... and hopefully we'll be able to keep it going weekly. So with that is going to be it for this week. Kat, if we wanted to find you on the social medias, where could we find you?
If you wanted to find me on the social medias, you could check out, my social medias on Twitter at LabyrinthCat and Facebook.com/NerdistCat. And then you can also listen to me talking about very similar stories of weirdness over on What the Fuck over on 1201beyond.com. And you can hear me talk about some cool nerd stuff on my other show, Nerd to the Third Power, which is on YouTube and iTunes and This Week in Geek. And then if you like anime, you can check out this thing where Gomer coughs over me.
I'm sorry.
And if you like anime, I actually have a review series that I do with some friends called Your Favorite Anime Rocks. We're trying to bring a little bit of positivity to the fandom. Our positive service announcement team is available on YouTube, and we have a page on Facebook. Check it out.
Sweet. And if you want to find me on the social medias, hopefully not coughing over somebody, you can find me on the Twitters, the Tumblrs, and my main YouTube channel is Gomer21XX. This show also has its own YouTube channel. The link, I believe, is in the doobly-doo. Or if you're just watching it on wherever it's put up, be it rtgomer.com or nerdvice.com, just click on the title on the video, and it should take you right to the channel. But the link is going to be in the description no matter what. We do have our own Tumblr, thespiantalk.tumblr.com. Askbox is always open. Anonymous is accepted. Don't be afraid to send in your questions. Hopefully they won't take as long as the last set of questions did to get answered. Of course, I also have a Facebook page, Gomer Ranting Thespian on Facebook. You can check me out there. I'm trying to do better at keeping it updated. Hopefully I'll work it out a little bit more. And again, if you want to help support the show, go over to patreon.com/Gomer21XX. You can get the little ad stuff that I do at the beginning of all these shows, and all that really good stuff. And with that is going to be it for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening, and until next time, this is Gomer, the Ranting Thespian, with the cat, signing off.
Thespian Talk is an RT Gomer Productions presentation. Our show's theme is Kick Shock by Kevin MacLeod. Find out more at Incompetech.com. If you like this show and want to help support future episodes, head over to patreon.com/Gomer21XX. For a contribution as little as $1 per production, you can get early access to all future productions, as well as monthly Patreon-only vlogs and announcements. Our show's artwork was produced by the talented Becky Hopkins, who can be commissioned by going to patreon.com/BeckyHop. Check us out on iTunes or visit rtgomer.com for more great shows.